Hey guys, Fang/VA here, coming at you with a new long-form discussion video, and this time is about the fact that there are going to be no Chao in Sonic Frontiers, or no Chao Garden as far as we know. But I get the feeling that there isn't going to be a Chao Garden anyways, based on some stuff that some of the people that actually played the game has said. So before we get into this, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell. So let's get into this by me stating some disclaimers. Number one, I love the Chao Garden, especially the one in Sonic, in SA2. I would love a Chao Garden in Sonic Frontiers. Number three, this video is not meant to be gaslighting the very rabid Sonic Adventure fanboys. Because I do know there are people that will not pick up Sonic Frontiers if there is no Chao Garden, and I find that ridiculous. This is simply one Sonic fan's opinion, and it's okay for me to state my opinions on the matter. So anyways, let's get started. The Chao Garden originally debuted in the very first Sonic Adventure on the Sega Dreamcast. Obviously, it was in SA2, and then they had a tiny Chao Garden in the first Sonic Advance, and then they brought the Chao Garden back for the GameCube ports for SA1 and SA2. And the SA2 version of Chao Garden is a fan favorite amongst the Sonic fanbase, and I totally get why. It is a nice little breather from the main game or emblem hunting, and it is a nice way to spend the time. It's a good way to actually do in the Chao Garden. There are some emblems you have to get, so it's very beneficial to be doing the Chao Garden, especially if you want to unlock Green Hill Zone in SA2. And you know, it's just, like I said, it's super relaxing to do, because you can just, okay, well, you want to make a Sonic Chao. Well, you have to go through stages to collect green Chaos Drives, and then, of course, alternate between a hero and a dark character to keep it neutral. You know, there is some complexity to it, but it is very easy to understand once you once you know what to do. And ever since Sonic Adventure 2, we haven't seen a Chao Garden since. And there's been so many people requesting for one. Like, heck, I mean, a perfect game to have one would have been Sonic 06. But obviously there's no animals that comes out of Eggman robots, and there's no Chaos Drives that comes out of them either. Because as much as people may not want to hear this, especially the ones that will not move on from Sonic 06, Sonic 06, for now, is the closest thing we have to a actual Sonic Adventure 3. I don't need to explain why. And so there's always been people that's been clamoring for a Chao Garden. Why Sega doesn't want to do one, I don't know. We can speculate. It could be because of the fact that, I guess, there's so many conspiracy theories in the Sonic fan base. Like, people think that they're not going to do it because it's associated with the Sonic Adventure games. And especially how nowadays it seems like the Sonic Adventure games seem to be getting a lot more negative press because of the crappy ports that are on Steam. Although probably about 90% of the fan base still loves those games. And people understand that those are from a time in gaming to where, again, I said this perfectly in a previous video. game making has gotten much more improved since the late 90s and early 2000s. I mean, heck, ever since gaming first was a thing with Pong in the 70s. Game design has changed over the years, and game consoles have gotten more powerful. And of course, the rise of modern PC gaming. It has allowed a lot more tight controls, and like when you look at a game like uh, Ukulele, which is a Banjo Kazooie spiritual successor, a lot of people criticize that because maybe it's a bit too faithful to the 90s 3D platforming genre. And I've always stated that I think gamers can get used to any control and any camera if they take the time to actually do it. But it goes to show you how much more comfortable we are with modern game design. And why sometimes it is harder to go back to play something like Mario 64, or the first Spyro the Dragon, or the first Banjo Kazooie. Because game design has changed. Mario 64 was the first game of its kind. Which obviously, right? The game, maybe design wise, it has aged, but games don't age, and that's what people don't understand. Mario 64 is a product of its time, and people still do play it. There's still people speedrunning that game, and there are still people playing the first two Sonic Adventures. So people might tell me that, well, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 is hated by the fan base. No, it's not. As much as the critics and the more weird side of the fandom likes to say that those games are bad, people still love them. I still love them. But in terms of the Chao Garden, I'm not that offended by there not being no Chao Garden in the modern Sonic games. Because, I understand that with the Chao Garden, you have to have the Chaos Drives or the animals to even evolve them. And yes, we did. Yes, we did have the Tiny Chao Garden, but that was more of a companion to the Sonic Adventure DX and SA2 Chao Gardens. Think of Pokemon Home or Pokemon Bank. That's how I kind of view Tiny Chao Garden. It's a companion to be able to take your Chao with you on the go and be able to raise them in your car, and then once you get home, you can put them back onto your GameCube memory card. But as much as I'm fine with it, I'd love to see a Chao Garden again. I would love to see them create a more advanced version of the SA2 Chao Garden system. Or B, like I said, do a Chao Garden mobile game. Now, obviously, they might put in microtransactions unless they go with the Pokemon Go ARG route. That's a good idea. Imagine when you pop open that Chao Garden game, you're like in the world of Sonic. So maybe no matter, depending on the location you are, maybe each town is a different zone. So my town could be City Escape. Although to be honest, I get the feeling they will probably make San Francisco that. But you all get what I mean. And even though that I know that there's a lot of people that are pessimistic towards Sega anymore, and I do understand why. I can't sit here and tell you all that there won't ever be a Chao Garden because we don't know. Um, will they put a Chao Garden in a future Sonic game? It's possible. What would it be like? I don't know. Does having no Chao Garden ruin Sonic Frontiers, though? It doesn't. Because, much like with Sonic Adventure 2, and again, I know that this is probably going to anger some people, and, I'm just speaking facts here. The Chao Garden is required to get the emblems. Right? But, technically, you don't have to collect all the emblems and get all the A-rings to get Green Hill Zone. That's a endgame thing. The Chao Garden is not the core feature of the game. It's the story mode. It's the hero and dark story and the last story. That's the core mode. Chao Garden is this side little thing that you can do to pass the time. And even though that the Chao Garden is very beloved in the Sonic fanbase, I'm not offended by the fact that we haven't had a Chao Garden since SA2. But that's also because I buy Sonic games for that blue hedgehog on the packaging and the level design and just the overall experience from the main game. I mean, here's the thing. If Sonic Frontiers has a secret Chao Garden that people aren't telling us, you can bet your two front teeth that I'm going to frickin' spend a lot of time in that Chao Garden because I do love it. But what I'm saying is to you guys is to put all your eggs in the Chao Garden basket for a Sonic game and not wanting to buy that Sonic game because it doesn't have one. Are you really a Sonic fan or are you just a Chao Garden fan? Do you guys see what I mean? To me, the perfect Sonic game that, in my opinion, doesn't exist has these things in it. A mixture of boost and adventure-style gameplay mechanics. Chao Garden. Playable Supersonic, playable Hypersonic. Will that ever happen? No. Hypersonic is never going to go back being in a Sonic game. Unless it's a classic Sonic game. And people like to say it's because of the risk of seizures, but they could have toned down Hypersonic and Sonic Origins, and they didn't. I think that kind of debunks the theory there. That theory there. Plus, too, there's ways to work around that as well. Maybe like, I don't know if I've done a video like that. Maybe in the future I'll do a video like that, talking about how a modern Hypersonic could work, and it could actually not get in trouble. That's not going to be the title, but that would be just the video, But like going back to the whole Chao Garden thing, like I said, the Chao Garden wasn't the main point of Sonic Adventure 2. It wasn't the main point of Sonic Adventure 1. Actually, the Sonic Adventure 1 that's on the Dreamcast, if I recall correctly, and people can fact check this and let me know down below in the comments if I'm wrong, but the first Chao Garden in the first adventure game on the Dreamcast was actually just a tech demo. That's all it was, but it got so popular that it became its own thing. And that's a good thing. It means people loved it. But, as I mentioned before, I'm not buying a Sonic game for a Chao Garden. I'm not buying a Sonic game, if it, like, I worded that last part wrong. And I'm not just going to not buy a Sonic game if it doesn't have Sonic Adventure 3 on the title either. I'm a Sonic fan through and through. Yes, I do prefer certain eras to others, but I love Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm excited for Frontiers. I'm ready to play it. But if it doesn't have a Chao Garden, am I going to want to return the game back to GameStop and get my money back? No. That's ridiculous. I'm not, like I said, I'm not that bothered by there not being no Chao Garden in Sonic Frontiers. Because I never expected one to be in it. You know, if there, like I said, if there is a hidden Chao Garden in that game, yeah, I'm going to effing play it. But if there isn't a Chao Garden, and by the way, it sounds like there isn't a Chao Garden in Sonic Frontiers, I'm not that bothered by it. So, I think that's where I'm going to end it. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. Keep things civil, and as always, I'll see you all in the next video. Later, guys.